Did you ever walk when your feet were tired? Did you ever walk when the road was gone? Did you ever sing when your heart was aching? Did you ever sing just 'cause there's a song? I will walk, and I will sing, and I will bring a little courage for the morning, bring a little courage for the day. Did you ever laugh when all hope was lost? Did you ever laugh just to ease the pain? Did you ever weep till the tears were gone? Did you ever weep teardrops like rain? I will laugh, and I will weep, I will bring a little courage for the morning, bring a little courage for the day. Did you ever stand when the rest was silent? Did you ever stand a million strong? Did you ever dream in the darkest hour? Did you ever dream right to change the wrong? I will stand, and I will dream, and I will bring a little courage for the morning, bring a little courage for the day. I will walk, and I will sing, and I will laugh, and I will weep, and I will stand, and I will dream, and I will bring a little courage for the morning, bring a little courage for the day.
Welcome to this service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Waynesboro for Sunday, July 4th, 2021. Welcome to this morning, this day, and this opportunity to be together in community, which is a time of joy, comfort, and sometimes challenges. This Unitarian Universalist congregation is a place where we come to learn more about being human. We're not here because we figured out life's questions or because we think we've got it right. We come here to learn more about being in relationship together, how to listen, how to forgive, how to be vulnerable, and how to create trust and compassion in one another. This fellowship is a welcoming congregation to people of all sexual orientations, and we unconditionally welcome any and all of you to our community of mutual caring. Let us move into worship, willing to be authentic with each other, honest within ourselves, and opening to connection in all its forms. My name is Kay Yost, and I have been a member here for about 9 years and currently serve on our worship arts team. People have varying ideas and conceptions about angels, but when I heard our theme today would be our better angels, I immediately thought of my mother, who had a large collection of angels. She started with just a few, and over time, people gave her more angels, and she ended up with quite a large collection that were scattered all throughout her house. One of these angels now sits on my desktop. This angel is a reminder and a symbol to me of my mother and her drive to help others in need. If you are a visitor here, thank you for spending time with us today. At the end of this video, you will find contact information on how to get in touch with us and information on how to donate to support the work of this fellowship. We invite you to come visit us in person in our fellowship hall in Waynesboro, where in-person services will resume next week on July 11th. The flaming chalice is a symbol of the Unitarian Universalist faith, and I now share these words for the lighting of the chalice. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our power to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of freedom.
Our words of prayer today are by Maureen Kellerin. Spirit of life and love, I come before you brown and black and red and yellow and alabaster. I come longing for the simpler days that truly never were our lot. And I am an American. Hear these voices as in the complexity of our days. I am humanist and Christian, Muslim and Jew, pagan and atheist and Buddhist and UU, and I am an American. I am one who fought for my country, and I am at the same time one who protested war, and I am an American. Amongst the divisions of our days, I've struggled in poverty, and I've accepted the profits of wealth, and I am an American. I am an owner of weapons, and I am one who would control our nation's guns by limiting the who's and the what's and the how's, and I am an American. As light is shown on our divisions, I live with often unacknowledged privilege, and I am moved to rage at the complexity of intersecting oppressions, and I am an American. In the challenge of our days, I am one who supports my country, right or wrong, and I am one who claims the traditions of dissent, and I am an American. In this polarized nation, at this polarized time, I am Democrat and I am Republican, I am Libertarian and I am Independent, I am green and I am confused, and I am an American. Spirit of hope, sit with us in our diversities. Help us hear one another in our divisions. Grant that, beginning in this community, we may honor one another's truths and know that a just and faithful tomorrow begins here, in our hearts, in our community. For with all our problems, with all our pain, with all our limitations and mistakes, we are Americans. We join our hearts together today, recognizing the many joys and sorrows that simultaneously swirl through our lives and through our congregation. We recognize and hold the blessings and the pains together in a time of silence.
Equality in a Sea of Inequality by Peggy Clark. When this country was founded, the aspiration was high. The men who imagined it dreamed big, casting a vision of a world where all men were created equal, where rights were endowed by our Creator, transcending culture and the expectations of the day, where life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness would be allowed and enjoyed without infringement. It was a radical and new vision, born from Enlightenment optimism, inspired by scientific discovery. It was an intoxicating vision, as bold as the Protestant Reformation that swept all of Europe. And they had the hubris to believe they could make it happen. They staked their claim in the Declaration of Independence and institutionalized it in the Constitution. They elected their first president, and when he stepped down, relinquishing power to return to the role of citizen, those founders believed that they had lived to see their vision realized. A new president ran for office, and the republic was up and running. It was done. A new world order. Those men weren't distracted by the genocide they inspired, or the enslavement of other people they required for this nation to be born. They declared equality while swimming in a sea of inequality. When they declared all men were created equal, they meant white Protestant men. They didn't mean women. They weren't including black people who had been enslaved or those who were free. They didn't include Catholics, Jews, or people who didn't own land. They were so proud of their inclusivity, so inspired by their own cutting-edge philosophy, that they had no idea how narrow it was, how constrictive, how small a vision. The men who wrote those words were calling into being a more perfect union. They were establishing justice, ensuring domestic tranquility, securing the blessings of liberty. They believed that they, and the men of their generation, would will this new nation into being. They would establish the structures required for such a grand vision. They would test it, and then it would be done. They didn't realize it would require many more people, many different voices. They didn't know how many generations would have to be a part of the creation of that dream, how long it would take before the nation they imagined would be made manifest. The soul of America has yet to be born.
This is my home.
I grew up in south central Illinois and lived many of my years there and in southern Illinois. But I had relatives in Kewanee, a small town in the northwest portion of the state, closer to the Quad Cities, closer to Iowa than to Peoria. It is not just incidental that Kewanee is named after the Winnebago Native American tribe's word for prairie chicken, a prairie fowl driven to near extinction by white settlers, destroying its prairie habitat, just as they had destroyed the way of life and stolen the land of the people whose word they borrowed for their town's name. For people who live in Kewanee, there is little awareness of its Native American past, but a particular piece of Civil War history comes up each year at the end of June through the 4th of July. On the 25th of June, 1863, 40-year-old Lieutenant Julius A. Pratt was serving in the Union Army in the battle for Vicksburg, Mississippi. He had been ill for a few weeks, declared unfit for duty, and when he was finally feeling somewhat better, he was cleared for duty and was out with his regiment part of the day on the 25th as the division of General Logan from southern Illinois was fighting their way into the rebel fort that had been breached by the explosion of a mine. Lieutenant Pratt became exhausted, returned to his tent, and had been in that relatively safe position for only about 5 minutes when a stray bullet ricocheted into his tent, hit him in the head, and killed him instantly. Lieutenant Pratt was the only Union officer killed that day, 1 week before the fall of Vicksburg. He was known by his fellows as faithful and brave, and was popular among the men. His brother Norman, also a lieutenant under General Logan, was given permission to take his coffin with his brother's remains home to Kewanee for burial. Now, my family connection to Kewanee brought this story to mind today, a day more associated with the Revolutionary War than the Civil War. But this Civil War connection caused my mind to skip over historical terrain to Abraham Lincoln's first inaugural address, which ends with these words: "In your hands, my dissatisfied fellow countrymen, and not in mine, is the momentous issue of civil war. The government will not assail you. You can have no conflict without being yourselves the aggressors. You have no oath registered in heaven to destroy the government, while I shall have the most solemn one to preserve, protect, and defend it. I am loath to close. We are not enemies, but friends. We must not be enemies. Though passion may have strained it, it must not break our bonds of affection. The mystic cords of memory stretching from every battlefield and patriot grave to every living heart and hearthstone all over this broad land will yet swell the chorus of the Union when again touched, as surely they will be, by the better angels of our nature." The years of the Trump presidency were years in which the fragility of the contemporary Union and the encouragement by President Trump of his followers to hate and to insurrection did not end in civil war, despite the January 6th armed insurrection in the storming of our Capitol. But the followers of that mindset have not evaporated into the ether either. They are still our dissatisfied, distrustful, angry neighbors and family members who only need the right encouragement to violence. They can, however, have no conflict without themselves being the aggressors. The more salient words for me are in that last sentence of Lincoln's first inaugural address. The mystic chords of memory stretching from every battlefield and patriot grave to every living heart and hearthstone all over this broad land will yet swell the chorus of the Union when again touched, as surely they will be, by the better angels of our nature. The better angels of our nature. It's a catchy phrase, but what does it mean? When Lincoln arrived in Washington for the inauguration, he asked William Seward, his former chief rival for the Republican presidential nomination, to look over his inaugural address and make suggestions. Seward had plenty of suggestions. I believe it was about 7 pages worth of suggestions for Lincoln, including 2 closing paragraphs ending with the guardian angel of the nation. Lincoln accepted Seward's closing paragraph, but not without his own revision to Seward's words. Lincoln changed the phrase to the better angels of our nature, instantly making the impersonal statement, the guardian angel of the nation, into something supremely personal. The better angels of our nature puts responsibility onto the free choices of citizens to choose not just what is good, but what is better, to be inspired by something that stood above, but that was also accessible. The 2 final paragraphs of that inaugural address remind me of the evocative words from Deuteronomy, in which words are ascribed to God. I call heaven and earth to witness against you today that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Choose life so that you and your descendants may live. From the beginning of the American experiment, this people and our leaders have been faced with choices between that which serves life and that which brings death. Our founders and leaders, from long before the Revolutionary War through long after the Civil War, were faced with choice after choice. To establish and continue the economic expedient of race-based chattel slavery, or to live up to their own stated ideals of equality and justice. To live in harmony with the original inhabitants of the land, or to steal the nation out from underneath them. To commit genocide after genocide, or to honor the inherent worth, the inherent dignity of all. To care only about building wealth and security at home and for the few, or to stand with the world against fascists and Nazis. Time and again we were faced with choices between life and death, blessings and curses. Many times we as a nation, or our leaders on our behalf, chose death and the curse. We struggle under the weight of a past that includes the choice, yes, the choice of enslaving many, of exterminating many, of restricting the rights of many, of eliminating the equality of many. And in some shining moments, we chose life. We chose blessings. The events of the past remain what they were. Our nation did what it did. Not all the wishing in the world will change it, but we continue to be faced every day and every generation by choices. Hard choices? Perhaps, but often clear choices. For all the ambiguity of the world, life and death is a pretty stark contrast, and the choice, yes, choice, is still ours. Choose life so that we and our descendants and all around us, however that us is broadly drawn, and their descendants with our descendants may live. We bear no guilt for what our ancestors did, but we will bear guilt for harmful choices we make in our own time and do not correct, and guilt for the preservation of systems of oppression that benefit us or others. May we be touched by the better angels of our nature, or, in the words of Maya Angelou, do the best you can until you know better. Then, when you know better, do better. This Independence Day holiday must not be about a war that happened more than 245 years ago against the nation that is now our closest ally. It's about making the better choices now so that we and our descendants can live together with the descendants of everyone around us. It's about the spiritual struggle to correct past errors for the good of all. We can't control the stray bullet that may enter our tent or our neighbor's tent, but we can choose whether and how we fight a war and for which causes. Choose life. Amen. And blessed be on this 4th of July Independence Day holiday.
We will not stop singing. We will not stop singing. We will not stop singing till the world can hear the song, till the world can sing along. We will not stop marching. We will not stop marching. We will not stop marching till the world can hear the song, till the world can sing along. Till the world can sing, till the world can sing, till the world can sing along. Till the world can sing, till the world can sing, till the world